All right, enemies at the gates. Enemies at the gates. What is the enemies at the gates? Well, a few things. One is propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. Propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. That's the enemy. It has many forms. Sometimes it's negative influencers trying to sell you stuff, or people who budget is their brand and they can't see value. They're pushing fakes, or they are a fake because they don't have the experience, the certifications, or the professional backgrounds to give you qualified advice, or a system to discern what works in your context versus their professional context. For example, this happens oftentimes with people with military backgrounds who try to form groups and they want everyone to be just like it was when they were in the infantry, but they forgot that they went through basic training. You have to start with the basics first. Well, part of the basics is knowing who to listen to. Well, a good filter is what's their experience, certifications, and professions. I've heard some people refer to others as experienced, accomplished shooters. Well, are they really an accomplished shooter if they've never won anything? I shared a thing, a short from a professional female shooter who's quite younger than me. Well, she started winning competitions at 8. I would listen to her way before I would any prep or parrot, because she has the experience, the certifications, and her profession as a professional shooter and has been for a long time. 3rd generation shooter. Well, I call that a clue, right? It's the family tradition. So she's probably got a lot of experience. I know my sons grew up shooting at a level way past even some people in professions where they carry a gun. Why? Because I was their dad. And when you're raised by a real sniper, you get to learn the right way sometimes, right? And it fast forwards your education when you have people that have experience, certifications, or their profession is related to whatever topic you're interested in. Don't get medical advice from some fake medic on the internet. The internet's full of it, isn't it? The fakes, the posers, the people that want to talk about tactics that couldn't even make it through the entry-level certifications of the profession of a soldier or Marine. They didn't even get through MEPS or basic training. Probably shouldn't listen to them about soldier stuff, right? Because their experience is very small and it's jaded because of a negative experience. I have to take that into account as well. Some people discount their service because they were a support person, but they don't realize that they went through basic training, which is more training than most of the population. That's one of the things dealing with many veterans. They devalue themselves because they're comparing themselves to a Ranger or Green Beret. It's like, why are you doing that? You still served. You still wrote a blank check up into your life to Uncle Sugar. You didn't get to decide how he cashed that check, right? So don't devalue your service, because I certainly won't. However, if we remember lanes, authority, and witness, who knows camouflage and who's been tested at camouflage? Well, I thought I knew camouflage as a young Ranger until I went to sniper school and was graded on it. It's a whole different level of accountability in that experience, trying to get that certification in that profession. And that's the point, right? It's like, people's like, well, what are the recommendations for a truck? Well, I'm not a mechanic, but I know how to do a system and a systematic methodology. I'm a systems builder by profession as well as by trades. Well, what's your criteria? That helps you with the course of action analysis. One of the things is you find a trusted advisor or mentor in whatever genre and ask their opinion, but you have to make the decision if it fits in your context, right? A long-haul truck driver or a hotshot truck driver is going to have a different set of criteria than you. If you're only going to shoot your rifle 2 or 3 times a year and it's going to live in a gun safe, you can get away with a lot. But if you plan on using it in an evasion context and low maintenance environments outside in the crucible, your criteria probably should be different. If you're going to use it in a litigious society where every bullet has a lawyer attached to it, you might want to prioritize accuracy, right? A different ball game, different sport. What are your priorities? Well, if you list them out, it helps you make a good decision. Unfortunately, as Westerners, we're all about emotional decisions. And we don't even see value. Because many people would consider this trash. But if you've had the experience trying to make something like this, you realize how valuable it is. Or if you've been overseas and you see that improvise in the survival acronym is now a way of life for them because of limited resources, they see value on a whole different level than most Americans do. Americans are programmed to emote over their brands. I'm a Dapper Dan man. Well, I don't want to know that fop. Okay, right? I don't even use hair gel. It doesn't matter, right? So what's your requirement? What's your requirements? Because you may not even have set it down. Many times that's formed by fantasy and advertising. You know, I don't care how many terrorists you killed in Call of Duty. It doesn't really matter in the real world. What? The idea of battlefield recovery is not a plan. The enemy gets a vote. Oh, what's this battlefield? And the real battlefield is for the center of your mind. And that's cognitive warfare. And that's really what it is. It's not flesh and blood. It's principalities and powers. It's spiritual wickedness in high places. It's the center of your mind. Take every thought captive. Pride doesn't enter when you're not emotionally attached to it, right? Of course, if I trust my mechanic and I ask their recommendations and they're trustworthy, I was like, what vehicles do you not see in here? That's a good place to start. Right? If you ask someone who was an armor or weapon sergeant or sniper, you may get a whole different viewpoint, especially if they've repaired civilian systems a lot for a couple decades. They start to see what happens in classes, what breaks. Many M forgeries are not up to the task. People emote over certain brands like Daniel Defense or Geisley or LaRue or Sons of Liberty Gunworks, etc., as if, these things are so expensive. Well, what's the quality checks, quality control? And I've seen all kinds of stuff break. I've seen bad batches of chrome lining with Colts. I've seen FNs. I mean, the thousands of examples of America's rifle I've seen employed all over the world. Kind of hard to replace that with just the 4 or 5 that you put together. Because have they been through the crucible of Joe, the private, right? If you want to really test a piece of gear, you give it to a private and you tell them not to break it. Because the privates don't understand the word don't. That means a challenge to them. And oftentimes you can take the gold from the experience of equipment that's gone through military certifications through that profession, and it has a durability and reliability factor that may be far beyond what you even need, but it most likely will be up to the task if you apply your context, your needs. And so to figure out what our needs is, we need to use the system. Well, a system I came up with, and it's here, many have copied it, but they don't really know how to use it, is MUMS, M-U-M-S, Manufacture, Use, Maintenance, Sustainable Systems. Manufacture starts with the idea. What's the idea that you need a sniper rifle? Let's break down the idea, because maybe you don't need one. Maybe you just want one. Maybe you don't need a 45-70. Maybe you just want one. If you just want one, go buy it. Don't lie to yourself. Don't try to justify the purchase for something. See, that's the thing, is people decide they want to make the purchase, and then they form everything around the justification. If you just want to buy it because you think it's cool, just buy it, right? But we need to stop lying to ourselves. And that's cool. That's fine, right? What's the manufacturer idea you need? Fill in the blank. If you go to the genesis of where the idea came from, the manufacturer of the idea that you need this new shiny widget, did you watch a commercial and that made you want it? Did some negative influencer push it and now you want it? Are you being motivated by fear? Because that's one of those things that's manipulated a lot, right? What's your actual use? Is it going to sit on a shelf or in a safe? We're going to use it every day on your farm or on the battlefield, right? Different criteria. Is it got to hold up to the bumps of your tractor, right? And the dust? Do you have to get little tiny rodents with it and predators, four-legged? Or are you focused on, World War III? What's your use? Maintenance, it's a system. Is that system proven? With vehicles, oftentimes, like with trucks, I'll look at something, but has it gone over 200,000 or 400,000 miles? Has it had any major significant model changes in the last decade? Because that will give me an idea of how many supply options I have. There's awesome vehicles available overseas that are not available here in the States because of the chicken tax. Thank you, Carter. Yeah. What's the maintenance look like? With heavy equipment, grease is cheap, parts are expensive, right? Yeah, well, we know this is to be true if you're, around heavy equipment. Spend the time. What's the maintenance schedule? Many people don't carry cleaning rods because they haven't had the hard malfunctions, because they haven't done stuff in the extreme, -58 in the ocean, with the surf, with the suspended sand in the water, getting into everything, right? Is it a sustainable system? What's the supply chain? This is one of those things soldiers oftentimes forget because they hand their guns off to a armorer. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in the background that the end user in the Army doesn't do. Gauges, checks, right? There's logs, service life, etc. Those things are done on the other side. Just like when you take your vehicle to a mechanic, the mechanic may do a bunch of stuff that you don't do if he's a good one, right? Because it's just outside your lane. Well, we don't have the wealth of a gigantic military apparatus behind us, and so we have to really focus on quality versus quantity because we can't afford it to fail. And we don't have, blank checkbooks like Uncle Sugar, and so, or disposable heroes. So it has to work for us. So we need to use a system. Is it going to last? Well, is it proven? For how many rounds? What systematic methodology do you use to break into a system? A long time ago, a couple armorers from across the fence had told me in order to consider a system in 45 or 5.56 duty worthy, it needed 1,000 rounds through it if you changed anything. I was like, oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it. And so I adopted that into my systems. Now, if you have a high volume barrel burner type system, that's different. But for combat arms or high round counts, that's very wise. Because parts breakages or drifts or failure to assemble or reassemble things properly shows up in that first 1,000 rounds generally. Well, how much is 1,000 rounds? Well, 45 cents a round, that's, $450. Can you afford to do that with another system or that system again when it breaks? So that's where the buy once, cry once comes in. You let the professionals do the testing for you. Let them wring it out. And then that quality system, statistically, doesn't mean it always will, because it could have been made on a Super Bowl Friday when someone was rushed to get out, or that Monday when they were hungover. All things made by man can break. I've broken all different brands. Just some are way less probable to break than others. And how you want to gamble. If the system won't hold the accuracy requirement, then it's not a good system for our use. What's your accuracy requirement? Well, I've shot 5,000 rounds of steel case garbage through mine. That's great. What's a gauge at? Do you even have the gauges to tell? It's the rubber ruler's the issue. Will it hold a 10-inch group at 300 meters? That's a reasonable expectation for America's rifle. 10-inch group. Why? It's about the size of the kill zone of most varmints. Yeah. And you can feed yourself with it. About the size of a head, too. And so these simple standards that we put in for our use helps us decide what we really need versus what we want. If you want it, just buy it. Don't lie to yourself. It's not a system then, it's just a nice thing. Or it's way down on the contingency emergency line and it's second kind of cool, is it nothing fancy? That's fine. That's fine. But that's different than a professional use or something that's life-saving, life-preserving type gear. Experience will tell you need to check it regularly, whether it's a life preservers and kit on a lifeboat, or the airplane that you're going to trust your life to when it goes up in the air. Wouldn't it be terrible if they didn't do maintenance and they didn't have a sustainable system? Yeah. I remember when I was in Africa, I was flying commercial, and when we landed, everyone clapped. This kind of shocked me. I was like, why is everyone clapping? And I asked the person next to me, it's like, because it's a miracle that we landed and we didn't crash. I was like, oh, and after I spent some time in Africa, I understood that. Because the military, our government in particular, gave one military a whole package of helicopters, but they didn't give them the maintenance package. So within 6 months, none of those were operational. You gotta have maintenance and a sustainable system in it. What's your maintenance check on your life-saving gear? Whatever it is. Everything has an expiration date in the military for a reason. Some people poo-poo that because they don't understand logistics as much as they think they do. Stuff degrades over time. Yeah, what happens? It lends towards what? Entropy, right? What happens with thermodynamics? Something to think about. If you use math as a blade to cut through the crap, you use a systematic methodology. Hey, what's the idea that I need this? What am I going to use it for? How am I going to maintain it, me, the skill set to use it? Is it a sustainable system? One of the ways that I teach to go through that is EDC/EDU. Everyday carry and everyday use trumps a good idea fairy. Oh, wait, Mr. Survival Situation, let me go get my survival kit. Do you get a vote when it happens, or does the enemy? Well, you get to make the decisions that put you on the X in the first place. So if you avoid this in strategic relocation because you know how to do a good life study, and do math using mums, you can avoid being on the X. And that's what we want, because that lowers the probability that we're going to have to use any of that stuff. The zombie hordes can't get to you because you're surrounded by mountains, literally. There's a reason why it says flee to the mountains, I believe. And I don't think those are hills. So use a systematic methodology to help you. I've got some videos here on YouTube to help with it, not very many, because guess what? This is a free gift. And free generally for Americans equals poo because they didn't pay for it. If you're not willing to invest in your training, well, I can't care about your training more than you do. I learned that a long time ago as an instructor. I can't care about someone's training more than they do. If you care about it, you want a different way to look at things, to smash the myopic paradigms. I'm not selling kit. I promote brothers who make good kit, right? But that's about as far as it goes. And vetting never ends. And so are you a brother operating excellence in relationship? Is that what you desire to be? Or you're a brother in name only? Well, what's the standard? What's the standard? What's your standard? I don't know. But if you come up with a standard, it helps you come up with your use. So come up with a standard first. There's an order to things to have a more harmonious outcome so you don't waste your time chasing your ballistic tail. And that's why I came up with these systems, because I spent thousands and thousands of hours and dollars figuring out a system to withdraw and prepare away from the propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. Maybe we'll see you soon. Check out the links if you want to know more, because your access to certain mentors and instructors is a very short window, so make sure that you check your egos at the door. Maybe we'll see you soon. Shalom.